Hello, welcome to another episode of The Path to Transformation. My name's Tammy, and if you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, I love you. And I'm excited for everybody to be joining in listening. I like to do solos like bi-weekly as well as guests, you know, in the in-betweens. So, thanks for joining me. Keep me company today. I want to talk about negative thinking and just kind of how it can be a challenge to get out of, but also how maybe it might help one to get out of. Before we hop in, remember I have my virtual grief support group for 20 and 30 somethings. We are meeting on June 4th at 8 p.m. EST. And I also have my virtual sound healing Monday evenings at 8 p.m. EST. And I'm looking into maybe in June having it on Wednesdays or and Mondays or maybe just Wednesdays. So stay in the loop on Instagram at TammyU_wellness for all of the latest on that. And I want to tell you last announcement about Toto cookies, and these are protein packed, gluten free, all clean ingredients plus adaptogens that are in these cookies that I've been really enjoying. And it's a small business created by a female, and she has autoimmune uh, disease and was diagnosed with cancer at 21, colon cancer. So after like her journey, she discovered that how food can help to heal, and she had the idea and created Toto. So she's actually going to be on Gordon Ramsay's show. I'm just like looking at the notification that she had. But yeah, so if you're looking for a healthy yet tasty cookie, then check out Toto. And if you decide to try it out, you can use code TAMMYU10 to save on your purchase. So let's hop in, and I am recording this on Zoom. So if you're on YouTube watching this, hello. But if you're just listening to it on the podcast app, hello as well. But I'm gonna try to look off into the distance. That's why I keep the window open, because I will get distracted if I don't look away, and I will lose my train of thought. I gotta figure out, and like I have to do something about getting like tested or diagnosed with ADHD, because this is this is a this is a full-time job, this ADHD stuff. So if you know of anybody, if you're struggling yourself, you got some tips, let me know, because I help a girl out, please. All right. Well, so anyway, about negative thinking. So I've been reading this one book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Highly recommend, by Susan Jeffers, PhD. And I like to, continue reading and learning, not only for myself, but also to apply some of the knowledge to my coaching and share it with my clients as well. So part of my job is to continue learning, right? And one thing but like in total transparency, I am fear keeps me back a lot. And like, yeah, you know, maybe from the outside, like it looks like, oh, Tam's like doing this, that, and the other. I don't know. I've heard a few people say stuff, so I'm like, that's why I'm saying maybe it looks, but fear is still got its grip on me. Like, and that's the thing. One of the things the book says is like, it's always going to be there, always going to be there. So I'm reading this book basically, for myself, but also have been recommending it to clients. So there's a quote in here that she said, which really stuck out to me. And that is that more than 90% of what we worry about never happens. That means our negative worries have less than a 10% chance of being correct. Sit with that for a second. More than 90% of what's going on, the worries that are going on in our head, never happens. That have a less than 10% chance. And I honestly maybe would argue that it's even smaller of a chance. So, and then I heard a TikTok today and it was like, yeah, we're worrying, but you're just like reliving it twice by doing that. So, yeah, by worrying, we aren't living in the present, we are living in the future. But then there's like that worry negative energy as well that, gets a hold of us. So, I think that with worry or negative thinking, um, you know, some people try to be like, just start thinking positive and like see the glass as half full. But I really want to acknowledge that a big part of it, oftentimes, is mental wellness, mental health. Because when one is depressed, when one isn't feeling their best, it is very hard to snap out of this way of thinking. And it's not just easy as like, oh, say positive affirmations or, drink this green juice. Like, it's not going to be that easy. And I think some people maybe that never struggle with depression or anxiety, like, they think that, oh, your mom just died. So, like, look on the bright side, though. Now she's in a better place. She's with God. She's not suffering. Like, they don't see, some people don't see the mental health behind it. And then also, the negative way of thinking can also just be a pattern from thinking that way for so long in our lives, and our neural pathways are um that's what I'm looking for. Mm, mm, mm. Like uh worn down for that way of thinking, right? So that is like so hard to just we don't just get out of a pattern overnight. We don't just read get better with the thinking overnight. So I want to acknowledge, yes, the mental health aspect. And I will say that, like, as somebody who has gone through very difficult times with, mental health, it was so hard to see anything positive. Like, for while I was, really, really struggling. And, people are like, be grateful and like, like, at least you got this, that, and the other. But it's like, you can't even see that sometimes when you're that low. So I know that was the case for me. So, what can we do to kind of maybe start thinking differently and make some change in regards to this? So, I think first and foremost, kind of maybe acknowledge like where you are with your mental health. And if you're like, okay, I think I'm like, not completely depressed or anything, like, well then, that's your starting point. But if if one is very depressed and stuff, then definitely, I mean, I personally would suggest to like seek out doctors if that's what you choose, and or coaches, and like seek different things, because it's a hard burden sometimes on ourselves. But everyone, you do you. um but I think acknowledge like where you are, your starting point, and then start to see and really notice when these negative thoughts come up and what they are. So for me, I know like it tends to be around like tasks that, like, now that I'm learning, like just have a lot to do with like the ADHD. Uh so for example, like grocery shopping, there will be a lot of negative thoughts around that because it's just such an overwhelming task for me, and like so annoying, where maybe, and I could like work on being less negative about that. So see, start to notice these negative thoughts, like what are you saying, how are you saying it. And I think it's where you have to start at the smallest, thinnest silver lining. And that's kind of after, of course, I got my mental health help. When I started to like do my own work as well, I started to see the silver lining. the small silver lining. So, maybe I'm like still feeling shitty and my brain is like, I don't know, I'm not having a great day, but I'm like, all right, well, like, and I'm in bed, I don't want to go to work, and I'm like, all right, well, I had a good night's sleep. Like, that's a silver lining, right? That could be a small silver lining. Or maybe it would be like, oh, like, I, I'm very grateful for my health. So there is some gratitude too that we can incorporate into the fixing the negative or steering away from the negative thinking, because gratitude is the highest vibration, as some say, and it's scientifically shown to improve our happiness. Read The Happiness Advantage. It's this orange one right there on my shelf. But anyway, uh, so small silver lining, and then I think in some cases, and I'm not saying to like gaslight yourself or like manipulate yourself, but I think in sometimes I get in like these like woe is me um positions, which I think again we get into sometimes, like yes, I'm all for like living, mind healing, wellness, mind, body, spirit, and like I'm all for that, but I'm also totally believe it's important to like show that like yes, we are human too, still, right? So I think sometimes I get into these like woe is me moods. I have to plug in my computer really quick. So sometimes I get into these woe is me moods, and I think they're natural. And I think, sometimes we can be like, okay, like, yes, work sucks, but like, work sucks. I know. Okay, sorry, I had to break out in song. Um, yes, work sucks, but at least I get, I work with cool people. Or like, yes, work sucks, but at least I am, you know, I have something to do. Like, I'm doing something now, and like, I'm in the process of finding something else. So, yeah, like I said, not saying like gaslight yourself, but in a sense, almost like I started to be like, sometimes I be toxic, I show toxic positivity to myself in a sense. But like, that's not something I will do to other people, right? Because I think sometimes, like I said, the woe is me. I think about my grandparents who literally survived a war, were taken from their homes, were forced into like a labor camp, witnessed the Nazis taking people, and well, they were taken by Nazis, but so just witnessed so much death and loss and murder and bombs and all that stuff. So sometimes that helps me put stuff into perspective. Like, all right, Tam, like your grandparents survived that and decided to come to this country. So like you've got things going pretty good right now. Though maybe it's not where you want to be, like at least you got this. So sometimes I have to be, when I'm really in that, like I said, woe is me space, I have to do that for myself and remind myself just how that's how okay we are. I am, and then I think what's an important thing once you notice the silver lining and or the other positive thing that is there, or the showing yourself the other positive. I think another thing could be like the benefit of doing whatever thing you don't want to do, or like if we really don't want to go for a walk, like thinking about, and that's some negative thing like, oh, I don't want to, da, 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 da. Like that's like a negative like energy, right? So if you start to think about like, all right, well, I'm gonna feel really good, right? So you can start to feel like, think about how you're gonna feel after it, but also thinking about the things that you can maybe get done that you really like to do while you're doing it. So, like, all right, yeah, you're walking, you're getting exercise. Maybe that's not your favorite thing. You're getting outside though, so you're getting sunshine. But then also, you can use that time to listen to like this new album you've been really wanting to hear, or this new podcast. I'm just kidding. That you can listen to while you do these things. So like, if there's something that you're being negative about, as far as something got it done, thinking about the positive aftermath, after effect, or the fun things you can do while you're doing it. So even for me, like when I like do want to go to the grocery store, which is like not anytime soon right now, but I think about how I can listen to a podcast while I'm grocery shopping, or like I try to be like, okay, this can take 20 minutes, this will take 10 minutes, you got the time. Like maybe I'll set a timer and like try to like beat the timer. And then I think it's cool to also like maybe celebrate once you turn the thought positive for whatever thing, or like maybe you got the thing done that you were really avoiding and being negative about. I think it's important to like celebrate that and be like, heck yeah, like I did that. Oh, like that wasn't so bad. Maybe like, I did that for myself. I'm good. So, in conclusion, or to sum it up, I think it's important to remember that this all, the positive mindset, it is gonna take time. And it's going to be daily practice. Daily practice. And I think one thing that like Dr. Joe Dispenza says is like or reminds is like you are not your thoughts as well. So like if you are having a lot of negative thoughts or something, like it's important to remember like that's not necessarily you. Sometimes, and like our brain can literally be like a mind of its own. So I think that's another thing that really helped me recently. I'm like, okay, like that's not me. Like those negative worries about like da da da, like this, that, and the other, like that's not necessarily me. So also you're going to maybe relapse as well with the negative thinking. And then if you have female reproductive organs, reproductive systems, I'm trying to be more inclusive with my verbiage. Remember that there's hormones that go into play and like your monthly cycle as well, which is something that I do not remember and I've not been um, acknowledging as well, because I just think like, oh my god, like now I'm in this negative loop again. Like, what happened? Sometimes I get like that, and then I have a reminder of like, oh wait, this has to do with like your monthly cycle too. Don't forget, you know. So I hope that this was helpful for you. And if you found this enjoyable or you've been finding this show enjoyable, I'd so appreciate it if you share an episode that resonates with a friend that you think would also resonate from it. And if you do all the things, subscribe, write a review, that will really help with me educating more individuals and spreading the message. So I'm so grateful for you. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to, say hi if you want to on Instagram at TammyU_wellness. And I will talk to you on the next one.